Hi, this is Susan Bossiere, and I'm here today to share with you a card I made using Voyage Beneath the Sea from Graphic 45. I love this collection. I love the colors. I love the images. I just thought that this was such an amazing paper collection. So we're going to be making this large format card here with the mermaid, and I think she's very pretty. Lots of little detail here, adding some metal as well as some sequins and some of this little punchinella trim that makes it shimmery. I started off by using this 12 by 12 collection pack, and I tend to use the 12 by 12. This is the sheet that we're mainly going to use here with the large format images. This is their signature page, and I just think that it has so much possibilities. So we're going to be using this whole thing with the frame here, as well as some of the seahorses and other under the sea creatures. So let me get this out here and show you. I've already cut the smaller pieces out, so it wouldn't take so long for the video, but I am going to start with this centerpiece, which was from the large sheet, and I'm going to cut this down a little bit because I wanted to fit the size card. Now this is just a 9-inch card, so I'm going to be cutting this off at 9 inches right here, and I'm just going to cut right through just like that. Now I know that seems a lot to cut off, but I've already cut my card base, and I usually build on a card front base and then I add it to the card itself. So this is going to fit on here, but of course obviously it's too wide, and we're going to make that smaller. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these off here, and I hope you can see this. I'm just cutting this right off around this here like that, and I'm also going to cut this one off here. These are going to be the corners, just like that. And so I'm going to have these as our corners in the upper corners here and here, like that. And then we're going to make this piece smaller. And so to do that, I'm just going to cut up the side here. Hopefully get this pretty quickly for you. There we are. Now to be able to split this nice and evenly, what I did was I came up, took her completely out, right like this. There we are. I hope you can see that. All right, just like that. And this has this great image here of the fish with this little gear. So that's where I decided I would cut the frame apart, and that's going to give you enough space to put it back together and then cover up that area where you've pieced it together with this. And so I'm going to cut the fish out as well. So then you have the two pieces. And he's not too difficult to cut out. He's small, but he's still pretty easy. Go around like that. And a lot of this card is about the imagery and cutting some pieces out, so that's why I prepared beforehand. Hopefully I've got it all together here. So I'm just going to cut this out. There we are. And that's what's going to piece the two together. So now that I have that cut out, I can just cut that apart. So we're not going to need all of that. So we have this piece. We have our two side pieces here that are going to go like this, just like that. And then this piece will sit here later on. But of course we want to get our middle imagery done first. So before we put that on and set that aside, she's going to be here, and you have a couple of options. You could just leave it like this and use, your pieces around it as is. But what I did was I came in here to the side and I cut this fish out a little bit to give it some added dimension. So I just went in here where it touches the side and started cutting this out. And let's see if I can get in there nicely. There we go. Just going to kind of go along the fin there. And I think it just adds a little extra dimension that gives the fish a little more visibility. And I just cut up to the fin where it meets the mermaid. And then these pieces here, it's kind of a little larger format there. Here we go. And these pieces, you're not going to need these little, so we can just cut those off like that. Hope you can see that. And then we're going to do that. This way we're going to be able to slide the frame back behind here, behind his fin. So he looks like he's really coming out of that frame. I think that'll give it a nice look. So let's just, there we go, around the fish. And one of the great things about Graphic 45 is they have such vivid imagery that you could do something like this with just about every collection, you know, and that is sort of a treat that you get when you use their paper. Okay, so you can see he's out here like this, and you can even bend this up if you like a little bit more dimension like that. So then when you put him down here, you can just slide this piece, which is your border piece, right under there like that, and he's just going to stand out. And you can also position this depending on where you would like her to be. Now I popped this piece up, so let's start getting those ready. I'm going to go ahead and put these two on just with a little bit of adhesive here, like this. There we are. This one on one side. And then if you'd like to, you could ink around the edges of your paper to give it a more distressed look. If you like that. I'm not going to do that in the video, but you could do that. And then I'm going to put this one on this side here like that. And those meet nicely in the middle. So it just covers up anything that you don't want to show. And then this piece I'm going to put here like that, and I'll trim this piece off because you're not even going to see it. So I'm going to get rid of that little extra that you don't need. So that'll be here, and I just like to measure it before I get too far into the project and make sure I've got it right. Don't worry about the little hole. That's going to be covered up with your gear that we just, okay. So for these two pieces, I'm going to use pop dots on them. Let me grab those real quick. And I use a lot of pop dots, just to let you know. I know some people don't, but I just, and for time's sake, I probably will not use as many as I normally do. But I like it to really stand up and not cave in after I've got my whole project finished. I'm just going to put these down here like this, and I like using lots of dimension in my projects, so this just gives it that extra. There we go, there's one side, so that's not as many as I thought it might be. And we're going to do the same with this. Put those on here. Probably the hardest task is getting all the pop dots on here, right? Because you have to then take that little covering off. Okay, it's almost done. There we go. A couple more. There. So that way, when you put this here, this will stand up a little bit, and it'll even give you an extra added layer, which is kind of a nice thing. So now that we have this ready to go, we need to decide where we would like our mermaid to sit. And if you put her completely in the center, which you can, you know, she's kind of off to the side there. And if you see in my sample, I have her a little bit more centered. So what I did was I just moved it over to the center a little bit, and I do have this down just with adhesive. So it's flat down here. So just decide where I'd like it. And I'm just gonna, after I attach it, just turn it over and trim it to fit the card size. But I wanna make sure I have it where I like it the best. And sometimes it takes me a couple tries to get it exactly where I like it. And even if she's off to the side a bit, she still looks great. So yeah, I like it right about there. And see, it's about not even a 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna turn this over, add a little bit of adhesive here. Let's make sure this is working. And I am not going to be putting adhesive behind where the fish is cut out, because I am going to pop him up a little bit. So I'm just going to be putting my adhesive, I think that's, oh, just fell, sorry about that, over to the side here. Let's move her just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to check that one more time before I get it completely down there. See if I need to trim anything off. Let's see. Okay. Because I don't want it sticking out the side either. So what I'm going to do is just flip this up and tuck it like that. Okay, let's position it one more time just to make sure we like it. There we are. And see, it's just a little bit that we're going to cut off there. So here we go. Let's cut that off. Trim it just a touch. Making sure we don't cut off the fin of the poor little fish. That would not be good. Okay, there we go. So now we can just attach this to one side like this. And we're going to be attaching the other one on the other side. And she's positioned where we like her. He still has nothing behind him, so you can pop him up later if you want to secure him. But for now, we're going to keep it free so we can get this back there. And these things are a bit of a hassle to take off, I tell you. So many of them. Might skip a couple for the video's sake. And there we go. Okay. So we have that. I'm going to slip this in here, and I'm going to always trim. I want to make sure I get it all the way down to the bottom. There we are. There we go. All right. I'm going to take this off here like that. So it fits nicely. I'm going to get the other side. Okay. And then, of course, we're going to be doing something to the bottom as well. Because this frame went all the way around, I'm going to use that bottom piece to put here. And it's also going to finish that frame off nicely. So you have, looks like it's going to be one continuous piece. Now, I did add a lot of embellishment to the bottom as well. So you won't see a lot of that frame, but you do see it. So you want it to look like it really integrates in with the rest of the card that you're making. So I'm going to stick this on this side. Make sure we can see her nicely. Put it down. There we go. There. And then, of course, when we get to this piece, see, it's just going to put it right back kind of in the place where it was. And I did pop that up too. So I'm just going to do that really quickly here. Okay, so let's stick that right there. And it just kind of finishes that whole area off, I think, just to have something there. Okay, we'll come back and embellish after we've got the rest of our card put together. Okay, so this is the bottom piece that we cut off earlier. And I need to make it fit down here. And one of the things you could do is just cut a piece, you know, slide it under. But there's so much going on down here at the very end. Let me show you here. See, like all of these items that we're going to be adding, that you probably don't need to fussy cut all of these pieces. So I just didn't use them. I saved them for another project. Plus the back of this paper is really pretty too, so you could save it for another piece there. But what I did do was I went in and cut this piece at an angle from corner to the inside corner here, cut it across, and I'm going to have to crop this when I put it onto my card, but this just gives me a starting point. So just cut across like that, and then I'm going to go from that outside corner to the inside, and I am just doing this by eye. I'm not measuring anything. I think it's easier because I want to be able to have this go here, right? But I want it to look a little nicer than that, and I do want the fish down here. Now these two fish you're not going to see in the end because we're going to be putting things there, and you're not going to see them. So I'm not too concerned about them. What I am concerned about is this area here that just doesn't look very finished off, right? So I know this frame is popped up, so I'm going to have to pop this one up too. So I'm just going to get some pop dots on it, and I'm just going to put them in the center here because these ends are going to be touching this. They're already popped up, and I'm just going to use some regular adhesive back there, right? So I'm trying to get them in that area that's just this here, so just like that. And I'm going to add some couple in the center now that I know I've got it where I want them, just so it's nice and even. Yeah, that looks nice. So before I get this piece on, I'm actually going to put some adhesive here, because since I'm not measuring and I'm just doing it by sight, I want the adhesive on there so when I'm ready I can just stick it right down after I cut it, because I'm going to cut it after I put it on. And you can do it before too. You can measure if you like. So I'm just going to stick this here, and it will be a little bit sticky, and that's okay. There we go. So I'm just going to stick that right across here, just like that, right? I'm going to pull it back up like that, and I'm just going to cut from the corner of the card into the corner here. And see, it just gives you this nice finished look, which I happen to like. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed, you could do this from the other way. Okay, I'm going to start here. Can't see that corner all that well. And I'm just going to go in. I really like a mitered corner. I think it makes it look really nice. Okay. And if you don't get it just perfect, you can trim it like this. I'm going to have to trim that. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Just didn't get it quite as straight as I wanted to. There. So now you have these two mitered, and you're not even really going to see the miter, but it's just a nice finishing touch just in case you do, depending on where you put your other elements. I'm going to clear this away. And so far this is what we have. Now we're just going to have fun adding some of the embellishments. Makes it nice and fun to do. So I have the seahorse here, and I have the octopus here. I don't have to take it me to the sea. There, I have the fish, and I have to get the take me to the sea here. So let me grab that and put that on. Now this piece here, the take me to the sea, was the bottom of one of the other embellishments I used on, one of the other cards. So I didn't use the sentiment, and I thought it would work perfectly with this particular one. So I used it on this one. So I've got that, got my seahorse here, and I have my little octopus, and we're just going to make a little embellished area right around this right-hand corner. Now, I did use a lot of pop dots with this, sort of my thing. So I'm going to get some of those ready so when we're putting them on, we have them. Put some here. On this one, I did not use it. I did use it on the back of the octopus, a couple back here. And you can cut these images out as intricately as you like. I did take some of the areas out to show the legs a little bit better on the octopus. And on the seahorse, I did leave some of the greenery here just to kind of give it a little bit of that under the sea vegetation, and also with the fish. So they all have a little bit of green on them to bring in that color too. Now before I put the seahorse on, I am going to add some of the punchinella, which is this, and like I said, this is where sequins come from. And it's just very shimmery and it matches nicely. So I'm going to get that ready. I'm going to use a couple of pieces of that. And basically what I did is I stuck my little seahorse on, and anywhere I thought it might need a little something, I could just tuck like this if you'd like. So, and I just put it on with regular adhesive because the end of it hides underneath something else. So you don't have to worry about getting your glue somewhere that you don't want it. So I'm going to stick it just like that. And he has that little bit coming out. And then after I get that, I'm going to be putting on the Take Me to the Sea. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive back there, just like that. So let me get him ready. Put him on. There we go. Okay. There we are. Just put him here. Right? And you don't necessarily see his tail because this is going to go up over here. And I also added another piece of this. I'm just going to put some adhesive on that one. And I think I want it on this side because I want it to stick out that way. I cut these at an angle. I'm just going to stick this back there, give it a little layered look. And each time I make these, they come out a little bit different. Just because sometimes I add sequins somewhere that they didn't have them last time, or I add something to an area that I feel didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. So I'm just going to put some adhesive behind. And notice I'm just using adhesive on these because I kind of bend them up a little bit to give them that dimension, so you don't need a pop dot because I have so many pop dots going on. I'm just going to tuck them back here. So you have that little bit of shimmer showing. You have the little fish coming up from behind the tag, which I like. And then I did use the pop dots on the back of the octopus because I wanted to have that sort of as a little bit bigger of an element. And notice how I'm putting them over the fish here, and that's how we're going to hide the little fish back there so you don't see them, although you see them all around the other sides. And then what I did was I used some of these gears, and these are just little metal gears, and I colored them to match the paper. As on the back you can see it was just a regular copper color, and they come in copper, they come in silver, they come in a lot of different colors. And you can just color them whatever color you want. Now you do want to use an alcohol ink marker on these to color, alcohol inks of some kind, like from Tim Holtz. He has some, and I'm sure you have some in your stash. And I attach these using just a glue dot. My little glue dot dispenser here has seen better days. And just put one on the back there. Oh. There we go. And I kind of just tucked it back behind here to give that sort of steampunk feeling that this collection has, like it just tucked around there. And then I put also some of these little sequins. Now I already have little glue dots on the back of them, and you can just tuck them just wherever you think that they should go. So I just put a couple around the seahorse, And I put some around here, like that. And like I said, you could put them in the center of the gears if you like, that are printed on here. But I'll add some more of those later, because I want to go ahead and finish this side with some of the other pieces. So I have these two pieces here, and these are just some of the coral that I cut out from one of the papers. And I'm going to put a glue dot at the very bottom. Let's see, there's a glue dot. Like I said, my glue dots are falling apart here. This little dispenser, I think, I don't know what I've done to it, but it's not working all that well. So I'm going to put glue dots just at the bottom for now. All right, got that one done. Put some on the back of this one. There we go. Let's try that again. All right. Okay, so I got those ready. And then I'm going to get the fish ready too, because now that he's placed where I want him, and I've got some of this section taken care of, I can go ahead and put a couple of these pop dots behind him like that. And I'm even going to put one, do I have one left? This fin here, just to stabilize it, because once you make the card and you put it in an envelope, and I usually put these in policy envelopes because they're oversized, and I like the policy envelope because you can get different sizes and put your larger format cards in there. So I haven't got these down yet. Here, let me get the backing off of that. All right, so I got the backing off there. Oops, there we go. And I'm just going to tuck these behind him. And see how I've just tucked it where the bottom comes in like that? So you just tuck them right there, like that. So there's one of them. And then I'm going to get this one and tuck it down here, like that, just behind. There we go. Get me an extra glue dot here. Now I did not pop these up because they hang over the card. And when they do that, I think that's dimension enough. And these little pieces are so thin that I don't want to raise them up even more and get them in an area where they may just fall off. So to me, that's kind of enough dimension, right? Okay. So now to do some finishing touches, I've got these couple pieces of coral, and I have some of the little starfish off one of the papers. And this is what's so great about Graphic 45. They just give you so much imagery to work with that you want to just cut it all out and use it in all sorts of ways in there. So I have a little starfish there, and I'm going to do another one on this side over here. Just kind of tuck him maybe back here. And I also have some more of these little gears, and just gonna grab one of these. I like these little small glue dots because you can really tuck them behind and they don't show. These are the really mini ones. Put it behind there like that. And I colored this one blue too. I'm gonna put it right in the middle here. There we are. Hope you can see that, of that gear. So it just brings a little extra embellishment to that. And I have this other little coral piece, and I usually cut out more pieces than I need, just in case I feel like I need to tuck something somewhere. Like, you know, I just wanted a little bit more coral here, so he looks like he's like coming out from the coral instead of just sitting on top, right? Alrighty. So the last piece I put on was a little embellishment at the top because I thought it needed something spectacular up there. So I had found there's one. I found these plastic pieces, and they come in a row, and you can probably find them at your local craft store. But I just I colored it, and this time I colored it more with the orange colors I'm just going to attach that right in the center here, because I just think that adds just a really nice element to finish off. And then I'm going to put some more sequins on. And like I said, you could put these sequins wherever you like. I already put the glue dots on the back of them. I use the mini glue dots for these, the ones that you put on bling with. Those are sometimes some of my favorite ones, just because they're so tiny, and you know the bling falls off the adhesive when you take it off the sheets sometimes. So this just kind of is a great way to be able to use your bling even after that happens. I'll put a couple more of these, and you can just put as many sequins on here as you like, and really make it shimmery. I think that adds so much to it, and it's so simple to do. And sequins come in almost any color you can imagine, so you just really have put this one on the side, have an easy extra embellishment to really bring out, here, I'm gonna put some over here, bring out everything on your card. Oops, sometimes I over sequin. But sometimes I like them just in the most unobvious places, because depending on what angle you're looking at the card, you can kind of see them just hiding. I even kind of tuck them sometimes, like under something. There we go. Alrighty. I think I have enough sequins on here for now. Put one here. It's one of my favorite places. And there we have it. So this is actually a very simple card to make. You're taking a really large format and creating a much smaller format, but using all the elements, which I find really fun to do. It's a challenge. I like to do that. I deconstruct most everything and reconstruct it in some form or fashion. So here you go. I hope that's not too close. Show you some of the shimmery parts. Hope you can see that. There, do it on the side here. Oh, sorry. And then when I'm finished, I will put this on a regular card base. So it opens like a traditional card, or if you want to, you can put it on a tent style base so it will sit up kind of like that. So that's my tutorial for today. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to make a comment, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. All of the dimensions will be listed below. So if you'd like to make something like this, or if you have this paper, I do purchase most of my paper at bluemoonscrapbooking.com. This is an older line, so at this point it's probably unavailable in your traditional online. But if you have it, it's a great paper to use for this, but also some of their other papers would work just as well in this same concept. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.